first at 5. 10 News with Ron Wilson and Jessica Rowe.
Tonight, the Aussie cricket scandal. The situation gets ugly.
Santa's killer stocking. The gifts parents should be warned about.
And unearthed, mankind as never seen before.
Good evening. Also tonight, the Qantas scare that leaves 10 people hospitalised.
But first, Australia's cricket scandal, and Captain Mark Taylor has broken his silence to defend the two players at the centre of the controversy. But while Waugh and Warne have the backing of their teammates, the international outcry against the pair is intensifying.
More familiar with protecting his wicket, Australian cricket captain Mark Taylor was today defending his disgraced teammates, still refusing to answer questions.
Any more regrets?
And certainly will not divide the Australian cricket team. They have their full 100% support.
Sentiments not shared by the greatest of them all, Don Bradman, in a meeting with Taylor on Tuesday.
I think he's a little disappointed, yes.
And as Bradman's baggy green cap was celebrated in Adelaide today, his contemporaries were saying Warne and Waugh are no longer fit to wear theirs.
And I think they should get at least 12 months or maybe 2 years out of the game.
But the current generation of players was closing ranks, even if some supporters appeared to take advantage of the scandal.
Just as Advanced Hair Studio stood behind me when I was up on an assault case back in 1992, I'm sure all of Australians, all their sponsors, will stand behind them.
Matthews suggested Waugh and Warne were the targets of a set-up, a theory supported by former Australian Cricket Board Chairman Alan Crompton.
It's been suggested that the players were in the process of being set up and on the basis that they would be asked to do other things at a later time.
But the cricket world wasn't buying any excuses from Australia, demanding a full investigation into why Waugh and Warne accepted a bookmaker's cash.
I'd like to think if somebody came up to me in the street and said, here's $6,000, tell me whether the sun's shining or not, I would smell a rat.
I think in the future, all these issues as they come up ought to be dealt with in as an open and transparent way as possible.
The shock of yesterday's revelations has become fury in Pakistan, where Waugh had testified that he and Warne were approached to fix a game 4 years ago.
Their credibility has been greatly damaged, dented by the fact that you get to know that around the same time, Mark Waugh had taken money.
The judge hearing allegations of bribery against former Pakistani captain Salam Malik now wants Waugh to testify again. Unlike their reputations, there's been no apparent damage to the wallets of Waugh and Warne, the giant sportswear company Nike, today confirming its association with Warne will continue. Adam Malters, 10 News.
Nike's decision to stick with Shane Warne will see the cricketer continue to earn large sums of money in sponsorship. But what about the long-term marketing viability of both Warne and Mark Waugh? We examine that question later in the 10 News Hour.
An emotion-charged courtroom in Newcastle as a teenage killer says sorry. The boy was just 14 when he crashed a stolen car, killing 2 people.
These people have had their lives torn apart by a 14-year-old car thief. 25-year-old doctor Andrew Logisic and his girlfriend Marianne Cameron were simply on their way to dinner, the innocent victims of a high-speed chase. The teenager was doing 100 kilometres an hour when he ran a red light in a stolen BMW, ending 2 young lives. He pleaded guilty to aggravated dangerous driving causing death. The Crown Prosecutor told the court the boy should be locked up for at least 3 years. This offence is a grave one indeed. The consequences of his actions were absolutely horrific. But the boy's barrister moved many to tears when, on behalf of the pint-sized killer, he said sorry. He acknowledges that 2 fine, talented young Australians lost their lives. He will grieve for a great deal of time for his shameful actions. As is so often the case, the court was told about the boy's troubled background, that he was an accident waiting to happen. But that's absolutely no comfort to the families of the victims.
When an offence gets committed, they can't hide under the umbrella of being a child or children or something like that. They've got to be responsible for their offences.
The families now hope the teenager pays for what he did.
I just hope the judge takes everything into account to send a message out to the community so other people don't go through what we've gone through.
The boy will be sentenced next Tuesday, the judge saying he can expect to go to jail. Mark Gibson, 10 News.
Meanwhile, 3 male juveniles are under guard in hospital after an armed robbery and high-speed police chase in Sydney's west overnight. Police began pursuing a blue Commodore after a Merrylands service station attendant was robbed at knife point by 3 youths. The Commodore crashed into a tree and an 18-year-old and 17-year-old suffered minor cuts and bruises, while another 17-year-old suffered serious chest injuries. Police recovered cash, cigarettes and 2 knives from the car.
A warning for parents tonight. Dangerous toys lurk in Santa's stocking. Shoppers are being urged to choose their presents carefully, with some toys a serious safety threat to children.
It's a simple toy like this, which could be a child's last.
The top comes off too readily. The thing falls apart too readily and those little balls can be swallowed by the children. Yeah.
This push toy just one of 3 given the thumbs down by the Department of Trading's latest crackdown on Christmas toys. Also listed as dangerous, My First Puzzle and the wooden racing car, with kids easily able to choke on the smaller parts. Other dangers, kids' nighties without fire hazard labellings, hazardous kettles and woks, and cigarette lighters that aren't childproof.
But there is some good news. The latest survey of goods on sale this Christmas shows a much higher level of compliance with safety laws than compared to other years.
Manufacturers, importers and retailers are heeding the fair trading message: produce safe products for our children.
So this Christmas, shoppers need to check for sharp edges and loose small parts, check for proper ventilation, read age labelling and only buy projectile toys with soft one-piece darts. Although standards are improving, experts say safety should still be at the top of the Christmas list. Natarsha Belling, 10 News.
A freak accident has claimed the lives of 2 elderly people who were waiting to catch a bus at a park bench. The pair were killed by an out-of-control car.
Eyewitnesses say they never had a chance. One moment sitting quietly on a garden bench waiting for the bus, the next struck by a car that seemed to come from nowhere.
It's a dreadful thing, to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
An 82-year-old man from Chelsea died instantly. A woman, 86, from Edithvale, dying on the way to hospital. The man's 79-year-old wife is in a serious condition. The victims were all from a Chelsea seniors group, waiting to head out for a day trip to Healesville. The rest of the party was standing on grass behind the bench. Remarkably, none of them was harmed, though all were deeply shocked.
Waiting for a bus, I believe, on a beautiful sunny morning in Chelsea. It was certainly an horrific sight.
The tragedy stemming from a minor car accident. 2 vehicles colliding at an intersection just metres away. One of the cars then veering out of control straight into the bench.
From a very, very small accident, major tragedies occurred.
At this stage, no charges have been laid. Police still talking to both drivers. Meanwhile, local officials are already talking about moving the bus stop, which is a meeting place for scores of community groups.
My family's been on the phone all morning, hoping it wasn't me.
Tracy Chamberlain, 10 News.
Drama on board a Qantas jet as it flew into Sydney today. 3 flight attendants overcome by acrid fumes in the rear gallery of the 767 airliner were taken to hospital. 7 others were also taken in for observation.
Treated them for various ailments on the scene, including eye irritation, sore throat, some nausea.
The plane was on a flight from Melbourne to Sydney when the medical emergency occurred. Qantas has grounded the plane till safety staff can find the source of the smoke. After tests, the cabin crew were given the all clear this afternoon and allowed to leave hospital. And coming up after the break, a fiery end to a police drug bust.
Going bush, the state's new opposition leader heads to Dubbo.
So do you have any children license?
And the official worst 20 albums of all time. That story coming up at 5:34.